You're listening to Side by Side with Kathy Wilson, episode 39. You've been warned. Duncan was seeking information from Hickory as she enjoyed her morning nap on the Chesterfield. It was only 8 in the morning, but Hickory was ready for a siesta. After all, she had been up and at 'em since 6, and she really needed to catch up on her sleep. Hickory, what is this Canal Day thing Cat is going on today? Will there be any skunks or geese? She opened one eye and noted the worried look on Duncan's face. Hickory yawned, then decided to give Duncan an answer of some kind at least. No, I'm pretty sure there won't be any skunks, but you may meet a goose or two. What you really need to be wary about are kids. There will be rugrats everywhere you look, at least as bad as Halloween and maybe even worse. Yep. Beware of the kids. You can't be too careful. Hickory rolled over on her back and attempted to resume her sleep, but Dunk wasn't finished yet. So what happens on Canal Day besides lots of kids? Why is Cat so eager to go? Duncan, it's a glorified shopping day. You walk and walk. Then you shop and shop. You stop for lunch and do the same thing over again. Now will you just go away and let me sleep? I'm not a working girl anymore. I have retired from guiding Crazy Cat and answering questions too. So saying, Hickory closed her eyes and left Duncan to figure things out for himself. Cat was in the bedroom trying to decide between a yellow t-shirt or a green one. Duncan indicated his preference for the yellow, and Cat quickly put it on with black capris. Look at me, Dunk. How do I look in these colors? I picked up Duncan's harness and my purse. We were ready to go as soon as Shirley arrived. As soon as I climbed into Shirley's car, Duncan found a comfortable spot at my feet, and we were on our way. We're going over to Marion's, and she is driving us in her van. Margaret will meet us there. Duncan will have a lot more room to stretch out in the van. Duncan turned his head to watch St. Catherine zip past. He needed to discover just where it was that Marion kept herself. Shirley turned into Marion's condo. Margaret and her husband Don pulled in right behind us. Then Marion came out with her tote bag and Duncan was completely happy. He loved it when all his ladies were together. Don fixed his gaze on my happy Labrador and gave his head a rub. Duncan, I wouldn't trade places with you for even pizza and beer. You'll never keep track of 4 women determined to shop. It won't be too hard as long as I can keep them together. It's a matter of being loving but firm. Duncan shone with confidence. Marion opened the van's tailgate. Dunk, jump up into the back. You'll have lots of room to stretch out. It's a bit of a ride to Port Colborne. Duncan eyed the location and wasn't a bit sure that this was a good idea. He always sat with Cat. She needed him. And how could he look after her sitting in the back of a van? Marion was eager for Duncan to take his spot, but Duncan wasn't ready to comply. He just eyed the van with suspicion. Kathy, doesn't Duncan know how to jump this high? Marion needed a reason for Duncan's hesitation. No, it's not that. We are always together. and he isn't sure where I am going to be. Oh, that explains it. You get in the back seat so Duncan can see you, then he'll feel better about jumping in. I took off Duncan's harness so the jump would be easier, and then climbed into the van's back seat. Before I could turn around and give Duncan a call, he made a mighty leap and then got comfy. Marion closed the van's tailgate. I received a big lick from my affectionate lab, while everyone else climbed aboard. Port Colborne, here we come. And in no time at all, it seemed, we were there. When we finally found a parking spot, some distance from Port Colborne's waterfront, the day was already feeling like a sauna. Being near the water, it would be a bit cooler, but perhaps not cool enough. As we walked along, I could hear the sound of a breeze teasing the rigging of some sailboats anchored near shore. It would be more comfortable taking a sail than it would be walking along the pier, but we were here to shop, not haul anchor and raise the sails. All along the waterfront, vendors had stalls set up and ready for business. Each stall displayed something different, and we made many stops. One booth contained nothing but hats, and the hot sun made these hats particularly enticing. I always have trouble when displays are all jammed together. There were gazillions of hats all smushed in that minuscule booth. How was I ever going to select the perfect chapeau? I couldn't begin to tell one cap from another. Duncan moved around the booth, coming to a stop and resting his nose on a lovely bright orange bonnet with red flowers on the brim. I picked it up and put it on my head. That's an ideal fit. Good choice, Duncan. As I paid for my new accessory, Margaret told me that it lacked sequins. Not a problem. I'll sew some on. The next stop was at a stand where jewelry was being sold. Duncan isn't at all interested in that sort of thing. He watches me make jewelry myself, so knew I wouldn't be purchasing anything along those lines. We stopped at a booth selling tote bags and purses, but again, I chose to wait while the other three ladies examined the merchandise. Marion chose an attractive blue tote bag covered in green leaves and white daisies. As Marion was paying for her latest acquisition, I couldn't resist the temptation. Good choice, Marion. You could carry an entire case of beer in a bag that large. Oh, buying the beer isn't my job. I let Bob do that. We had to check out a booth where handcrafted wooden bowls were being sold. They were made from the trunks of trees, so were quite a size. But that didn't stop me. I couldn't resist a particular bowl made to hold fruit. It glistened golden in the morning sunshine. I thought of the wooden bowl my mom had, so I bought it as a Christmas gift for my sister. Is that a doggy dish for Dunk? Shirley was admiring its smooth lines. No, that's a Christmas gift for Nancy. She can put a salad in it. We had reached the last of the booths and were at the end of the pier. Why don't we go to Country Kitchen for lunch? And then we can visit the arena and check out the crafts after lunch. Everyone was in accord with this idea, so once settled back in the van, hugging our treasures in our minds but piling them in the back beside Duncan, we drove a few blocks uptown to Country Kitchen. Of course, all were imagining what we would order from the menu, and Duncan was considering the pleasure of lying quietly under the table and having a bit of a nap. Shirley, Marion, Margaret, and Crazy Cat entered the restaurant through the parking lot entrance. The lighting appeared dark, and Dunk guided Cat along to the table where the waitress had directed them. Marion excused herself from the group in order to locate a washroom, while the others checked out the selections on the menu. Shirley read the choices to Cat, who eagerly decided on the butterfly shrimp. To this she added a salad and then fries to increase the decadence of her feast. At this point, Marion returned from her expedition and announced that the ladies' room was having some construction done and things were really crowded. They are putting in a new toilet. There are tools all about. Cat, this won't be easy, and the lineup outside the washroom stretches a long distance. You will have to be careful. Marion seemed concerned. That's why I have Duncan. He'll keep me out of trouble. I ordered the butterfly shrimp. Maybe you can order a hot dog. I wasn't meaning you, Dunk. Obviously, Cat was having some fun, Duncan thought. I think I can do a bit better than a hot dog. It should be noted here that you have to be careful when teasing Marion, because she gives as good as she gets. I gave no more consideration to the restaurant's plumbing problems. My shrimp required all my attention. While I was enjoying the salad, Margaret and Shirley left the table, and by the time they returned, my fries had disappeared too. Kathy, if you plan on a washroom break, you better do it now, because the line is getting longer, and the later it gets, the longer the line will get. Shirley was also looking concerned, so I elected to take the advice and scoot to the end of the line. The washroom is at the front of the restaurant. You'll have to move along a lot because of the tables. Thanks, Duncan will find it. I honestly didn't understand all the fuss, but we would no doubt find out. There were a lot of tables to be sure, but Duncan is an obstacle course champion, and he took me to the end of a long line of customers. I was assured that this was the line to the latrine, so all was good. Our turn at the head of the line eventually came up, and then we were in. What a minuscule setup this is, Duncan. I doubt if we even have enough room to play the fiddle in here. In fact, the individual cubicles were so tiny that there wasn't enough room for Duncan, and there was no sign of a handicap stall either. What there was were two guys working in one of the other stalls with tools here, there, and all over the place. Dunk, you wait right here outside this stall, and I'll be quick as a bunny. Don't worry, it's all good. Big Dunk wasn't convinced of this for a minute, and every few seconds he would stick his head under the door to be certain that I was still there. Then the fun really started, when one of the workmen started his drill. Yes, the noise was deafening. Fearless Dunk pushed his head under the stall's door to guard me from an imminent attack. Let's get out of here, Cat. The place is going to fall down. I couldn't help but laugh. Duncan reminded me of Chicken Little, who was terrified that the sky was falling. Well, it hasn't toppled down yet, so we were safe. It's fine, big guy. It's only a drill. Nothing is going to happen. Take it easy. Duncan removed his head from under the door in time to see one of the workmen heading in his direction. He stretched himself up to full height and glared at the unsuspecting workman. It was then that the workman noticed Duncan standing erect in front of the door to a stall, and he was looking pretty angry. In fact, Duncan was feeling completely pissed off and didn't care who knew it. "Hey, Brian, there's a big black dog in here. He shouldn't be in here. I better throw him outside." "Tom, will you stop with your tomfoolery and just bring me that damned ranch?" By this time, I was clutching Dunk's leash in one hand and getting my clothes in order with the other. "Hey, Brian, this here black dog is wearing a leash and harness. Maybe we should give him a biscuit or something. Have you got any of those?" I quickly found the lock on the door, opened it, and grabbed the harness handle. "Good dog, Dunk. Find the sink." Duncan quickly led me to the sink. I felt that showing Tom just what Duncan's job involved was far better than trying to explain. "Duncan, paper towels." My guide placed his nose near the dispenser, and I dried my hands, put the soggy towel in the trash, then added my next instruction: "Duncan, door." We left the scene of our comic encounter. I could hear Tom's voice sounding baffled. "That dog is really smart. I wonder if I could get my wife to do that." Fat chance, I thought, as Duncan saw the ladies waiting for us at the door. I paid my bill, and it was off to the craft show now. Once at the arena, there were more displays to investigate, but it lacked the cooling breeze that we enjoyed as we walked along the pier. Besides the lack of a breeze, it soon became evident that there was no air conditioning either. This was not going to be a breeze in any shape or form. Marion and Margaret went off on their own independent quests, while Shirley and I decided to examine all the tables as we came to them. This left Duncan in a quandary. How was he to look after all four ladies if they were determined to move in different directions? Shirley and Kat weren't even attempting to keep up with the others, but were checking out each display as they came to it. Margaret came back to inform Shirley and I that there was a display of sundresses that we should look at because she thought I would like all the bright colors. She quickly went off in yet another direction, and Duncan was met with even more frustration as Shirley went on admiring several shelves of different colors and styles of birdhouses. How could I decide? So at last made up my mind to skip the birdhouses. Marion was in the midst of rejecting at least 100 different fragrances when Duncan managed to bring us to her. "We're too close to all these scents. I can feel my sinuses getting congestion." How right Shirley was. I felt a sneeze erupting. We left Marion still undecided at the perfumes and found the sundresses Margaret had mentioned. This certainly had my attention, and Duncan decided to give up on Marion and Margaret. They needed more training, and he just didn't have the time. Kat needed a dress, and she was about to select a deep purple thing that would not be a good choice for the summer. He spotted a bright yellow short-sleeved dress that would be just the thing since Kat loved the color yellow. As Kat checked out the sunshine dress and decided that it was just the right size and color, could Duncan be blamed for feeling just a wee bit self-satisfied? It wasn't long before all of us agreed that we had seen enough and that it was too hot and humid to shop anymore. That was okay with me. There was a limit to how heavy a bag I wanted to carry in all of that heat. After we got home, Dunk had a refreshing drink of cold water and found a comfortable place to stretch out. It was good to feel the air conditioning again after the endless shopping. What did Crazy Cat buy today? Did she get us any treats? Hickory was awake and inquisitive. Talk about a need to know basis. Hickory needed to know it all. She bought an orange hat, a yellow dress, and a wooden bowl. You'd never imagine the washroom we had to go in. This guy wanted to throw us out, but all his cat wanted to do was wash her hands. Yeah, I know. Totally bonkers. As crazy as they get. I like her friends, but I just couldn't make them behave themselves. They were all over the place. Don was right. Pizza and beer are better. The very worst was the guy in the washroom. First he wanted to throw me out, then he thought that I needed a biscuit. He never did give Brian the wrench. He had to be the dullest knife in the drawer. Hickory paused, then added her own observations. Dunk, you learned a lot at the school, but there are just some things they forget to tell you. Sooner or later, everyone goes to the washroom. The really smart people and the total idiots, too. What you have to do is be certain that you and Kat aren't in the washroom when the nut jobs are there. You need to remember this. It's important. Thanks, Hickory. I'm glad you're here to show me the ropes. Is this something everybody knows? Duncan was happily impressed. I doubt it, Dunk. It's a closely guarded secret. Hickory's smirk was unmistakable.